Hey everyone, and welcome at a new episode of Human Hearts Silicon Minds. Today we're here at the Napa Valley and San Francisco Bay Area and we're interviewing Gabriela. She's a Microsoft AI startup advisor. So let's have a look and learn more how AI has transformed those startup scene. Hi Gabriela, how are you?
I'm good.
Thank you for joining us here today. Can you please introduce yourself? Who are you? What kind of work do you do at Microsoft?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Gabriela de Queiroz. I work for Microsoft for startups. I am one of the AI advisors, and we work with startups, helping them on their AI journeys, building on Azure, working with Azure. So we help them in any step on their AI journey.
Then 2023 must have been quite a journey with all new startups trying to create new applications, I guess.
So crazy, so crazy. I'm tired, but like excited.
I can imagine. But how did this 2023 and everything that has been released impacted your personal life?
A lot, more than I was expecting. And I would say mostly for good, but also like in the personal life, when I think about not only myself, but like the people surrounded me, like my family, for example, my kids, I get a little bit scared of like where we are going to get, even though some of the things had made my life easier, right? So there is these two sides where there are some great advantages and but then there is this other side that I don't know where this is going to go, how much should we talk about it, or how much should we try to push them away. But personally, it's on my day from like the time that I probably wake up, from the time I go to sleep. AI in some capacity is there. I would say ChatGPT, for example, I use all the time, especially the voice one. I have a question about something, I don't need to write, I just use my voice and ask about something. Sometimes my kids go and say, oh, can I ask that thing about something because I want to know what is the best character in this Nintendo game, and then he asks ChatGPT. So it's very interesting to see like how we all are interfacing with the new technologies.
Yeah, I think our young children these days, it's a totally different generation. There was the other time I saw a video that a teacher was saying that, okay, sometimes children call her mom by mistake, but now it was Alexa. What? So she was like immediately, okay, this is a totally new generation. They're talking to AI and not to their mom anymore.
Exactly.
Now, this is more to your personal life. I think for everyone it has changed quite a lot. You work a lot with startups. Well, that's your day-to-day job.
Yes.
How has that changed for them, making use of AI? How did it impact creating their business?
I would say like startups more than like enterprise, they are less resistant of like using AI. And they have like less to lose if something goes wrong. So I see like most of the startups, they are trying to infuse AI in some capacity, or if they are not doing on like in production or in a product that's already on MVP, for example, they are testing and seeing if using this type of model or this other type, or this product is going to make my product better. So I see like startups being more open than enterprise, for example. And they are using in pretty much every company that I see now, they label themselves as AI startup, where before it was very segmented. Now pretty much all companies are using AI and labeling themselves as AI.
Is that not always also to get a bit of more funding?
That's also true. I was going to say that also because like if you don't have AI on the name, or if you don't say, oh, I'm an AI company, the VCs or people that are investing are not going to be interested in whatever you are doing. So you have to have AI somewhere in the description so you can get some funding. Yeah.
I think it's also quite hard for them sometimes to, okay, should we or should we not?
Yeah,
With
exactly.
the technology that changes so fast.
Yeah.
That sometimes something can be worth a lot of money and then one day later it's worth nothing anymore. So it's quite difficult. Now, we see most of those technologies are used for white collar people. How have you seen startups that focus more on the blue collar workers?
Yeah, there was one company that I talked to a while back ago that they were using, instead of like cell phones, they were using radio, a technology based on radio, because that's how they communicate with each other. It was not like through cell phones, but it was through radio. And I've never seen some application on that side. If I recall, it was agriculture company, and they were using AI to help that chain to make better decisions or fast decisions, and they were using like the data capture from radio to ingest the model, which I thought was interesting. It is not something that you see every day. At the same time, it's going to affect, for sure, any new innovation or any new wave of innovation usually affects those jobs in a large scale. And the main thing that I'm worried is like, are they following what is going on? Are they educated about the things? And even if they want to learn, how can they go about learning and being also like inserted and not lose their jobs?
Yeah, I think specifically, let's say agriculture, they're mostly not people who went to university or to college. No, of course, you have those people also. But do you think it will be always for them, for those kind of people, good to be able to understand what those models actually do, so they can have some kind of trust in them?
Not the models itself, but like being aware. I think you don't need to go that deep, but being aware that those things exist, and not let's think a little bit more like beyond the blue collar jobs, like even people that belong to underserved communities, in communities where you don't have access to the things that we have, for example. They are so distant like from what is happening that it's on their lives. It's happening, right? They are going to be affected as well, or things are going to be around them. So how do, again, make sure that they are inserted, and instead of like creating more and more gaps between these kind of like two sides. And one of the things that I think a lot as well is like the older generation. They have no idea about what is going on, and they trust everything that they see, right? So they don't have this knowledge that you cannot trust everything that you see, that you listen, that you receive. That's another very scary thing when I think about.
Yeah, I think indeed. My parents are plus 80 years old, and for them also it's like this is all quite futuristic for them and still sci-fi. And indeed, they trust everything that they see,
Exactly.
which is indeed a danger. How do you think society can help those people to also understand and being able to get those details?
Yeah, it's like inserting them in the conversation on education, making sure that they are aware. Because for example, search, right? When they do a search, they think that that's the truth. Oh, but I saw that when I did my search, so that must be true. And I'm like, no, not everything that you find on the search engine is true, or it's backed by science, but they don't know. They think that there is no bad thing. Everything is good that is happening. Technology is good. They cannot see the other side. And I would say because they were not exposed or educated about the other side.
Yeah, if you think about their library was what they could find in the library.
Exactly.
Right? And
yeah,
now,
that was the source of truth,
yeah,
right?
And everything else, there was nothing else. So that's indeed, if we go into all that knowledge that is there, we also see that there's some dangers in it. The way people sometimes make use of it. We see that there are some governments who start to build up some regulation or legislations around it. Do you think that will help assisting in the way those AI models will be used?
Yeah, I've seen things are advancing so fast, and the regulation, there is a lag always, and it's hard to keep up with everything that's happening. I think as we have more regulation, hopefully it's going to be a good thing, not like stopping, but like making sure that the whole thing about bias, discrimination, and the incorrect answers and all of that, that there is some kind of like protection. So regulation is, in my opinion, it's good to have. When you don't have, it's like this, there is no like barrier or anything that you can control. It's out of control. And I'll give another example because I always think about that. There was a time in San Francisco where the new scooters, electrical scooters, were released, and everybody was using scooters everywhere, even on the sidewalks. But there was no regulation around the electrical scooters because it was a new thing, so there was no regulation. So it was a mess. The city was a mess. You would see scooters all over, and once they had like some kind of like law or regulation, things got a little bit more organized. So that's how I think about regulation. Not being something that is going to be so restricted that is going to stop, but something that's going to give us some kind of like guardrails.
Do you see that progress already in the startups that you're assisting?
Yeah, a bit, yeah.
That they're thinking more about the bias and how the models are used, or?
Some yes, some no. Some do care, some like they don't. They only want to make revenue and to grow, and they don't think about the other side, the implication and the trustworthiness. So we see two sides.
You've probably seen quite a lot of different kinds of startups. Is there any particular startup that's like, hey, what they're doing is really interesting, and how they're using AI has really helped them to grow their business very fast?
Yeah, so one that I think about that has blew my mind is a startup called Perplexity. So they are type of like a search engine. And when you think about search engines, you think Google, you think about Bing, like you think about big companies using their knowledge to create a search engine. But then you have this startup, very small, that was created from scratch, maybe 2-3 years ago. And their search engine, what they built, it's amazing. It's better than a lot of like, even like ChatGPT. And the ease of use is also like another thing. So they are, and that's why they are getting a lot of funding, and they are growing so fast. And they build on top of like Azure, and they use Azure OpenAI service. So that's one of the examples of like startups using AI where they just expanded, and they are becoming like maybe the next search engine for the future.
Okay, so they're trying to reinvent the search engines
in a different way.
Okay,
yeah.
Interesting. Now, because of looking into all those new companies, how do you see the next 6 months in the AI world?
Well, there's been an explosion of AI companies. I'm based in San Francisco, in California, and everybody now is creating a startup. When you talk to people, they are either developer or a startup founder. Even if they are working for another company, they have a side job or a side project that it's a startup where maybe they are going to leave their jobs to invest full time on the startup. But it's something that I've seen, and I think it's going to be trending all over the world, where because of the easy to use AI and how you can create things from scratch very easily, you see a lot of startups being born, but at the same time you see a lot of noise. So you see companies or startups building the same thing, like you see repetition. Like when I go and ask, what is your business model? Why are you different from this other company? They haven't thought about that. They haven't thought about the customers. So they have an idea, they easy to implement, but they don't think on the like the scale, like what is next. So I see that in the next few months, sure, more startups will be born, but some startups will die, and they will come to the next thing. They'll go to the next thing.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of startups that you've talked to, and you've probably seen what they've been doing. Are there particular startups, of course you don't need to name them, they're like, what they're doing, we need to be careful here?
Oh, yes. I've seen some of them.
How does that for you personally link to the fear that many people have, like because of the Hollywood movies, like singularity and the super intelligence of AI? How do you feel about that? Linked to what you've seen in the startup scene?
Yeah, I feel like we, in terms of like movies and videos, I don't think we are there yet, like to replace what we have. There are some things that we cannot replace yet. The human aspect and the emotions and all of that, you cannot replace. But I've seen some startups doing not safe work or using AI for pornography or other use cases, and that's where I also think the regulation will come to help us on like stopping that to grow, like this underworld of like AI startups doing things that are not good.
What advice could you give to people who want to create a new product and want to become the next startup?
That's a great question. Well, first, for you, especially with the big models, you have to have infrastructure. So you need to set up your infrastructure. So for example, Microsoft has a platform that you can get free credits. So you can build your POC or MVP without spending $1, because we provide you thousands and thousands of dollars for you to use. So making sure that you have, the certain, like the correct environment. But more than that, don't think about only the tool itself or what you're trying to do, but think about your customers or what is the use case. See if there is any other competitor doing the same thing. So do some like market analysis. And again, it's going to be a lot of like try and errors. And some companies will succeed, some companies will die off. And that's how I see things happening in the next few months.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gabriela, for your time. It was nice to speak to you and talk more about AI and startups. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.